Notice we're not in our usual location. It's the holidays, and unfortunately, we've had a bit of family some family issues this week, and so we're traveling. But we Aaron and I have had it's been a long week. It's been a long weekend, but for us, one of the things that we love, one of the things that kind of provides us a little bit of stress relief on Monday nights. Clearly not to our young ones. You can hear screaming in the background. Are these live streams where we get to hang out with people, interact with the community, chat with everyone, see everyone, even if it's only through the chat window or through the screen. So yeah, we're pretty excited. We have some guests coming on this week. We are super excited. We've got two new guests to the channel, and we're very excited for that. And then we've also sourced a whole bunch of questions from you all, our subscribers, our followers, members of the Lorcana community. And so we're super excited for that. Actually, one of our guests, I forgot to send the link to. So Scott, I'm going to get you in here in a second after I bring in Kevin to hear about his week. Sorry, Scott, we're professionals, I swear. So our first guest, we're really excited. This is brand new to the channel, up and coming channel, Lorcana channel. If you haven't seen it, it's Kevin from Lorcana Goons. Kevin, how are you doing this evening?
I'm doing good, man. Thanks, Liam. Appreciate it. Good to be here. I've been keeping up with the Lumiteers since before Lorcana even came out, dude. Believe it or not.
Are you
So,
serious?
yeah. So I love TCGs, and when I heard about the Lorcana being revealed at D23, I started doing my research. And my brother is really into collecting stuff, so he was the one that was just watching a bunch of YouTubers, and you guys were one of them. So, so it's pretty cool to be here.
Oh, that means a lot. That really means a lot. Honestly, as a content creator, I'm sure you feel the same. You make this content, you put it out there. And making the content is its own reward. But you never know, who's gonna be watching, if anybody's gonna watch. And so when anybody says that they have seen your stuff, it means a lot. So
Yeah,
I'm
of
sure you
course,
can
man.
I'm sure you can empathize with that. And we'll tell more about your channel like later on, but Lorcana Goons is honestly, along with Forbidden Mountain, to me is one of the go-to places for two things really. It's tournament reports, meta decks, like what's going on in the competitive scene, and then market reports too. You kind of do both, right?
Yeah. So I like the competitive aspect as much as I love the casual community. I do come from a competitive TCG background. I love going to big tournaments when it was like for Yu-Gi-Oh! And really excited to see what Lorcana does for the organized tournament play. But I do think that keeping up with the meta also it goes hand in hand with keeping up with the market. So it is a hobby of mine to list cards on TCG Player and do that. I live in California, so it's a pretty popular a demand for card games over here. And I've been lucky enough to have some friends who have been able to turn that into their lifestyle. So it's cool to be able to learn from them, right? So one of the other people that helps me with content is Zach Stone. He has a booth at Frankensons in California, if you're familiar with that place. Um, and he helps me a lot with like secondary market information, like how to be like a smart shopper in the TCG space, and just kind of things to look out for. What's hype and what isn't hype. And I think when you're playing like card games, it's important to kind of keep up with the meta and stuff, because when you go to locals, you want to be prepared. No, pun intended. You want to know what's going to go down, and then you also want to know whether or not you're getting like valuable trades. And I when I first started playing TCGs like back in high school, one of the worst things to ever happen was getting ripped off. With your trades, people purposely not letting you know how much your cards are actually worth. And when you're new to a space, I think it's important to educate yourself, but also like me as a content creator that I want to be, I want to take time out of the day to let people know what's up.
Yeah, no, absolutely true. I do like what you say about following the market as well as the meta, like go hand in hand, because I think, and I'd like to hear your opinion on this, but as you look at market prices for Lorcana, I mean, they're heavily influenced by the meta. You see Lilo rare driving up to like $20 in the early meta and then dropping down to like 3 or 4 as she fell out of favor. So, if you're not understanding what's hot in the meta and what's not hot in the meta, you run the risk of making possibly, um, you know, not smart financial decisions when it comes to acquiring your singles, and vice versa. If you kind of pay attention where the meta is going, you can actually get, make good buys.
Yeah,
What are your
yeah.
thoughts on?
Yeah, and I like to always look at card games not in like a, oh, this is an investment kind of situation. Because I think at the end of the day, if you're gonna use the cards, or if you're collecting the cards and you paid for them and you can afford it because it is a hobby, and as long as you're getting the value that you deem worthy, then it's fine. Because I know some people feel bad about buying those $20 Lilos, but at the same time, I paid $20 for my Lilos, but I was able to play a bunch of tournaments, and tournaments probably faster than some other Lorcana players weren't able to necessarily join because they didn't have the Lilos. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it does come with like a supply and demand thing. Lilo's not the craziest card in the meta right now, so now you can find Lilo for $5, right? But I also do want to point out, like you said, Lilo was only $20 plus in like the first few weeks of Chapter One. There was this
Mhm.
huge hype with Amber Steel, and then as the meta changed, we didn't even really see Lilo in most Amber Steel lists. So it ended up kind of falling off the wagon there. And that does happen with a lot of cards in a lot of trading card games, and sometimes it is hype. And I think a lot of times players forget that there is a big hype between the meta, and you also have to consider if I'm going to buy my cards online today, how long is it going to take before it arrives on my doorstep? And by that point, the card can drop $10 because let's say there's been a bigger a new restock for Chapter One, and that makes an impact. So yeah, it's good to keep up. And like you said, good to kind of know where the meta is going and to be able to make those decisions. But as long as you're getting the value that you deem worthy, I think it's perfectly fine. I'll pay $20 per Lilo if I'm gonna play a big tournament the next week.
That's true. No, that's a great point. And the timing is everything. So how was as I get Scott in here, um, how was your Rise of the Floodborn release? What do you think so far about the set? What do you think about the meta? What are your initial thoughts?
Oh, cool. Overall, I love the set. I think it does a lot for the meta. I was getting a little tired of Amber Steel and Ruby Amethyst on the Pixelborn meta and at the locals meta. So it is pretty cool to see uh, colors like Sapphire and Emerald gain like a huge boost in playability. I know everybody really dislikes running into Flavor Sham Popsicle right now, but I am here for it because I know a lot of people who were super on Sapphire last format, but Sapphire just wasn't doing anything. It wasn't doing enough. You wouldn't see it in a lot of the top eights. Every now and then you see like a Sapphire Emerald or like a Sapphire Steel, but it wasn't like super competitive. And I feel like a lot of the issues that colors like Sapphire had in Chapter One have been solved in Chapter Two. And yeah, it is kind of a power creep, and it does feel like I'm seeing Flavor Sham like every other matchup. But I do think that's just the beginning of the Lorcana meta. I think give it a couple more weeks, and we're going to start seeing some other decks take over because it's not the end all be all. But yeah, I do like seeing that in Chapter Two. Overall, I've definitely noticed way more product on the shelves this time around, and I think that's good because I think it gets new players more involved. I think it eases the tension that locals had to LGSs had to deal with telling their players, hey, we can't supply you with product, or we didn't get any, we sold out. And this time around, I feel like there's a lot more to go around, and a lot more local game stores are being a little less, I don't want to say greedy, but they're being a little more giving with their packs. I went to a tournament yesterday and got a free pack for entry of Floodborn, which I didn't see at all in Chapter One. So that's pretty cool to see. I do think Ravensburger that you can tell they're doing something different with the Rise of the Floodborn. But overall, I think the game is very well planned out. There's if you want to stop like 4 Flavor Sham meta, you got to adapt and start playing either some aggro decks, maybe play 4 Benja, 4 Beast, or maybe consider running cards that counter that strategy. So, but yeah, so do your research.
Yeah, no, it's a good point. I actually agree with you on the prevalence of Bloodborne compared to the first chapter. We know some things, we don't know a lot. This is pure speculation, though. I'm wondering that if with the pending reprint of both set one and two coming in December, early December, hopefully, I wonder if they pushed more of the Rise of the Floodborne product forward in the first wave, where with the first chapter they did a definite like 2 wave shipping and they delayed that second wave for quite a while. I'm wondering if a lot more was pushed forward to kind of like meet the initial demand. I don't know.
That's what I was thinking too, because there was this initial rumor about a next wave, right? And then that kind of became the reprint with the tape on the boosters. We kind of almost didn't get a next wave. It was more of just an initial reprint, and I feel like they probably also went ahead and just printed more Chapter Two along that. It's all speculation, but that's how I feel too, because I just feel like this release has been a lot more successful than the first chapter release. And not to say that there isn't some negativity in in the room, with how some people handled it, how some customers feel it was handled. But all in all, it's good to see that there is people who haven't played the game and been able to get their hands on product, especially at Disneyland, dude. Like, I don't know if you guys saw on social media, but
Yes.
all the Disney theme parks were doing that, and I actually was able to go. I was so lucky. I was able to go after work. My girlfriend came with me. Amazing, bless her soul, and she was able to also get a starter deck and some packs. And it was pretty cool because as we were waiting in line, obviously there was a big line, and random people in downtown Disney were asking the cast members who work for Disneyland, "Hey, what's the line for? Like, what are they doing?" And the cast members had like a little pamphlet ready to go. "This is Lorcana. You can buy a starter deck. You can buy 2 packs." And there were some people who were like, "Oh, okay, I'm gonna leave," and then there were some people who were actually like, "No way, I'm gonna wait in this line, and I've never heard of this before." And I was able to see that, like, with my eyes and a firsthand experience. So I was like, "Oh wow, there's enough product to go around at Disneyland. There's people who are interested in the game enough to see people lined up for this big old line, and on top of that, there's newcomers who are obviously like going to take an interest in this game." So yeah, I don't know what the big differences were. I wish we could get some actual confirmation, but yeah, Disney Ravensburger handled it way better this time around.
Yeah, I think they're learning. I think they'll continue to iron out the wrinkles, but I think you're right. I was cautiously optimistic, but so cautious ahead of the release of this set. But it does seem like it got in the hands of, or the product got in the hands of more people. Something else that you said is interesting to me. The people, at Disneyland, walking around, being exposed to the lines, and then learning about Lorcana for the first time. I had a similar experience when I was at Disneyland with Kenneth Anderson recently, trying to like introduce him to Disney fans, and it amazed me still how many huge Disney fans at Disneyland still hadn't heard of this game. And I think we forget sometimes that all of us who've been paying attention for a year, like getting ready for this game and all excited, I think we forget that we're still in a bit of a bubble where a lot of the TCG world has heard about it, but the broader Disney community is still just learning about this game. So fascinating.
Yeah, I think tabletop games can be a little intimidating for some people. I'm sure when people see like people playing with cards, it can be a little brand new, right? So they're probably thinking like, oh, maybe this is going to be hard, or I don't want to learn the rules. But I do think that if you anybody who watches this, if they take even a slight interest, like then that is a green flag to get teached in the game. You know what I mean? It's a really easy game to learn on a casual level. I think the one of the bigger issues is that a lot of the local game stores don't have enough product to be able to support a casual community. You know what I mean? Because not everybody wants to play the tier zero meta deck. Not everybody wants to play tournaments because that is a big commitment. Sometimes you just want to go to locals, play a couple rounds, and get a pack for entry. And I think once they figure out how to accommodate more of that scene, we'll see a lot more like people who are, like you said, are just primarily Disney fans probably take an interest into actually playing the game, because right now, like I said, it's a little intimidating. The only events that are in my area are constructed events, and then we have sealed tournaments with like 6 packs, and you can't really expect a brand new like super Disney fan to just get 6 packs and make a deck. It is a little bit of a learning curve. So there needs to be a couple more, I think, casual events, and I'm pretty sure once that starts going down, people can, they'll be able to take an interest in the game without necessarily feeling like, oh no, I don't want to spend $30 on a resold starter deck. You know what I mean? Um,
Yeah. No, no, that's a great point. And actually, it segues me perfectly into bringing in our next guest. I'm going to bring in Scott Goodrich here. Scott, I don't see your camera working, but we're going to bring in all the same. Unfortunately, people can't see you. But Scott, you there? Scott, Scott might be there.
what's up, Scott? By the way, hello to everybody in the chat who also said hi. Goons, yes, Lorcana Goons. What's up, Goons? Appreciate you all.
Yeah.
um,
You had quite the support section when you showed up. While we wait for hopefully Scott chimes in here soon. But when we get him on, Scott Goodrich is a huge Lorcana fan, big supporter of the channel. And you should follow him on Twitter. He also is the former host of his own podcast, the Blogadon podcast, which I looked up some old episodes on, and it's actually great. And yeah, so we're super excited to have Scott here. And one of the questions he wanted to talk about was building a casual scene. And so we'll wait for his audio and video to get sorted, and then we'll talk about that. But while we wait for him to come in, let's move to some business. We have some opening business, and then we have some user questions. Speaking of fans of the channel, one of the competitive players we love to follow, Nick Roush, big fan of the channel. We saw on Twitter today that it's his birthday. So if you're
nice.
here, and you're on Twitter, go over to nroush1 and wish Nick a happy birthday. And maybe we can blow up his feed a little bit. I
I'll do
think
that
that would
right
be
now.
fun. It's awesome. He's a great player. He's a good guy to follow. He was one of the people who won entry into the Lost Boys Invitational a few weeks ago, and he's a great person to follow for his current deck techs, and it's great. Um, yeah. And next bit of business.
Yeah, I actually followed Nick too after I saw him post his deck list when he won that first place at the it was the Lost Boys TCG Player Invitational. That was
Yes.
really cool. If other players are not following other like competitive Lorcana players, I think Twitter is a great place to follow them. They're very active in posting their deck lists, and I noticed that a lot of the competitive Lorcana players come from other TCG backgrounds, so there's already kind of a community supporting them. So yeah, man, I've learned a lot by following all these players already on social media. So I think everyone should too as well.
What's really fun about it too, I like that you said that. What's fun about it too for us is the meta shifts so frequently that even when people are playing a deck that they love, they realize like week to week it's going to shift. So everybody's always like sharing their deck lists and then modifying it before the next event. And so even with Nick, like we never saw him play the same deck week to week. It was always changing because the meta, I feel like it kind of settled on some big color pairings, but it never really settled. I feel like into. I mean, yeah, it just never really settled. I don't know.
Yeah, no, you're 100% right. You're 100% right. There was always different decks topping. Even if it was the same colors, there was always different parts of the build changing. And it's like I said, it was very adaptive last format.
Yeah. All right. So next bit of business. I'm not sure how much this was shared yet, but four Lorcana artists are going to be in Orlando in 2 weeks, week and a half, about 2 weeks. And they'll be signing autographs. They'll also be there with Peter Raimondo, who's a former Disney animator. I'm not sure what the pricing is going to be like for signatures yet, but I did want to throw an offer out to everybody. We can't take too many, but if you can't make it to Orlando or you don't live in that area, um, send us a note, and perhaps if we have extra cards, or you can mail us your cards, because I'm planning on going right now, and perhaps I can get some of your cards signed by these amazing artists. I'll just have to get the pricing info on that. But yeah, I'm super excited. It'll be great to see them again. And yeah, they're all amazing.
That's really cool, man. Can I ask you a question, Liam? I know that you do a lot of your content with other Lorcana artists. That's one of the things I noticed about your channel from the jump is that you I want to say prioritize that where a lot of people don't. And there is a big demand for getting cards signed by the artists in Lorcana. Almost so much to the point where correct me if I'm wrong, but Ravensburger Disney Lorcana gave the artist the okay just recently to charge to be able to charge like a pricing for their signatures, whether it be like on a commission basis or to appear at events, which I think is really cool. I kind of wanted to get your opinion on that. What have you heard from the artists, from their perspective about like how are they meeting the demand for their signatures as of lately?
Oh goodness. I mean, talk about a loaded question. I could talk about this for an hour. How do I start? Yeah. So I'll offer a few thoughts. The first is that, especially for those of us coming from other TCGs, we're used to, I think, Magic artists or Pokemon artists who have been in the industry for a while and kind of know the scene, and know what to expect when a card comes out and the demand for signatures and all that. Many of these Lorcana artists, in fact, almost all of these Lorcana artists have no exposure to other TCGs, or if they did, they're as casual fans playing Magic as a kid, and so like the hype for their signatures, the excitement for even meeting them and talking to them is something that they are completely new to, and they're trying to figure out how to navigate. You know, like right now in real time.
Mhm.
And so a lot of them are talking. They're trying to figure out, what kind of shows should they go to? What should they charge for their autographs? What should they charge for sketches? A lot of them are learned about card alterations for the first time. And so I think the exciting thing right now in communicating with artists and working with them and talking to them is that you're really getting to see them learn what it means to be a TCG artist, a TCG slash, kind of Disney artist, and navigating that space. So what that means, though, is as you said, or as you pointed out, the artist did get the okay to charge for their signatures now, and so a lot of them are doing that, and they're starting to figure out how to sketch on cards and charge for that. And yeah, and every artist is going to do it differently. I think some artists will charge a little bit, some will charge a lot, some won't charge at all, some are charging a different rate for personalized signatures versus just signatures on the cards. I know for signature collectors, it's a challenge navigating the space right now because of the different pricing and availability and all that. But it'll settle down. I don't know. I could talk about this for ages. Did that answer your question?
Oh yeah, of course. And you actually, I mean, follow-up question because I didn't even know that people did this for Magic and Pokemon. This is news to me because my only TCG background really is Yu-Gi-Oh. I've been playing Yu-Gi-Oh for such a long time though, but that really was like my main game, and I learned how to play Pokemon and Digimon and the new One Piece game, but nothing really stood out to me other than Lorcana until that came out. But yeah, I did not know that people were doing this already for Magic and Pokemon. So that's cool. How often would you say like artists for Magic do events like this?
Oh goodness, I mean they're happening all the time.
Oh,
There's a TCG con almost every weekend. In various parts of the countries, and pretty much everyone will have a magic artist or two at them or more. And then you see big events, like the magic summits and stuff, where you have 10, 15, 20 artists even.
oh,
And they're always there. Signatures are obviously popular. Although in Magic, I think one of the more popular things nowadays is sketching on cards and getting alterations done.
mhm.
Artists have gotten really good at acrylic alters. And actually, as a fun tidbit, I haven't gotten the go ahead to post a picture yet, but there's a Lorcana artist who tried his very first acrylic alter on a card and modified his art, and it looks just fantastic, and I really want to share it. And so hopefully I'll get to you soon. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. But the one thing about signature collecting though, and it's interesting, and for anybody in the chat, I'm interested in your thoughts on signatures because it does narrow because to a lot of people, they don't want signatures on cards. They consider, the cards pristine if they're not written on, and as soon as the signature's on it, they think it's damaged. And so you really do narrow the number of people who want that card. But to that smaller audience, the demand can be higher and the price can be higher, depending on the artist. So it is interesting. What are your thoughts on getting cards signed?
Personally, I've never done it. Now that I see that it is kind of a popular thing, I am considering doing it one of these days. They for the Rise of the Floodborn launch, they had some artists at one of the local game stores, but it was a bit far for me. So to me, I wouldn't really consider it a priority, just because I know that I'd have to wait in a line and whatnot. But I do think it's really cool. I would love to meet some of these artists eventually, and then I think I would have to like pick and choose certain cards to get signed. You know what I mean? Maybe not like every card. I did get my card signed by the characters at Disneyland, so I thought that was really fun. I was didn't even know that was possible. I remember them doing the autograph book from back in the day, but yeah, I ended up taking some Lorcana cards and got them signed by Mickey and Minnie, which I think is just as cool as getting them signed by the artist. Obviously, not the same, but it's actually kind of a mission to get your cards signed by Disneyland characters, from what I learned. When it comes to the artists, though, in general, like I am big on supporting like small creatives, small businesses, and stuff like that. I think if you can, support an artist in especially like, in this economy where most artists don't normally get commission based opportunities after they sell their art. You know what I mean? For the most part, we there's even like actors and whatnot having trouble just claiming their royalties. So for Lorcana and Ravensburger to give them the okay of like, hey, go make your money. You guys are in demand, and make sure you get paid for being in demand. I think that's really awesome. I think everybody who works hard and is a creative deserves to make a living off of it. So good on them. Personally, I'll probably find some cards that I might wait. If I could find the artist who made Goons, I will get that signed for sure.
Oh,
So
that's Cam Kendall, if I remember right, and I can get you a goon signed.
oh
Yeah,
yeah, that'd be super cool, man. Let me know. I'll definitely trade you for some cool cards or whatever. Yeah, I definitely you would love that. I definitely keep that in my trade binder of keeps. That's really cool.
for sure. I'll even have him make it out to two goons. One interesting thought on that. So to your point about supporting creatives, and I'm going to try to get Scott in here in a second. And Aaron, welcome to the
Hi,
stream.
yeah.
Hi,
Aaron's
Aaron.
been dealing with our daughter. But so for the Lorcana artists, a lot of them, you either fall into two camps. Either they're freelancers who are taking just consistent, odd jobs and commissions and don't have a full-time job. And hopefully those various odd jobs pay the bills. And those artists, take Lorcana commissions as part of those odd jobs. But it's stressful because you have to, yes, you get a Lorcana card here, you get a Lorcana card there, but once you're paid for that card and perhaps the concept work, you're waiting for more jobs to come in to support yourself.
Hmm.
Or B, these are artists with full-time jobs. An example is Kendall Hale, who has a full-time job, and he works on his Lorcana cards like late at night. After his full-time job is done, after his kids are in bed, he goes and he tries to get some work done on his Lorcana cards. And there's a lot of artists like that who just try to fit cards in. So when artists are supported when they're able to supplement their income with card alterations, card signatures, appearances, things like that for Lorcana, it gives them the freedom to take on more Lorcana work because it gives them that financial flexibility where they don't have to cram the cards into different places. And so
Yeah.
really, if it's an artist that I love your comment, because if there's an artist that we love and we love seeing their cards and we want them to get more cards, supporting them by paying for their signatures and helping them out in that way allows them to give us more cards.
Sorry,
Oh
Lee, you're
yeah,
just
definitely. I definitely I imagine some cards that have like super hyped artwork as well, like the Winnie the Pooh Honey Wizard.
Mhm.
I imagine like when we, when the community reacts the way we react to it, or like Flounder even, shout out Citizens of Lorcana. I'm pretty sure those artists and Ravensburger take note of those things. Like when you'll be able to tell like when the community has a positive feedback towards the art. Not that we have any negative feedbacks towards the art because all the cards in Lorcana look really awesome, but I get what you're saying. Yeah, supporting the people that are behind the work, I think is really what it's about. Kind of like the same way I feel like we need to support like the local game stores, and stuff like that too, because it's not really just about us as players. It really is about like the big picture. You know what I mean? It's such a new game, and I do want to see the game succeed as much as possible. So, and I do want to learn as much as possible too. So, thank you for explaining that to me, because this whole card signing thing on the characters by the artist, very new to me.
It's new to a lot of people. It's new to the artists, so it's fun. We're all kind of learning together. I'm going to try to bring Scott in one more time before, or again, we'll see if the sound is working here. Scott, can you hear us? We can't hear you. It's a live show. It's the challenge of live shows. Yeah, Scott. Maybe we try a different browser. We're gonna make this work. Because Scott,
Maybe on the phone.
maybe I'll be really disappointed if we don't get to hear from Scott, because he is fantastic and you all deserve to hear his thoughts. So I'm going to move over to some listener questions, and for anybody in the chat, go ahead and chime in if you have any questions at all about Lorcana. I think between Goons and us and Scott, we cover pretty much everything from art to the market to meta content and all that. So we asked this week for some questions from our fans, other Lorcana fans, followers, subscribers, all that, and we picked some, and we're going to throw them up here to kind of guide our conversation. Goons, I'm going to pitch this one over to you first, or Kevin, because I'm not even sure how to answer this yet. What do you think?
What decks will I be playing in chapter 2? You can call me Goons. That also works. I appreciate that.
That's how I refer to you in my head. It's funny. I'm like, go watch Goons.
No, I love it. I love it. But yeah, back to the question. So currently, right now, I am playing Popsicle Control because I'm a menace to my local society. I do like this deck a lot, but I kind of don't want to play it anymore, at least for like the next couple tournaments. So currently, I'm working on building this Minnie Mouse. It's a Ruby Emerald deck. I call it my Mini Winnie Christmas deck because it's a Ruby Emerald. It's gonna be for the Christmas season, and basically, well, I'm just trying to capitalize on the new Minnie Mouse, the Floodborn, that gains evasive. So I do like that you can shift it on turn 2, and then I want to play the other evasive Minnie Mouse that was released in Floodborn. I believe it's a 3 ink character that quests for 2 lore and has evasive with a 1/3 stat line. Really powerful, and I'm combining that with everybody's favorite Prince John discard engine. So you have the discard engine because you can trigger 2 actions in 1 turn if you have Prince John and the new mini Floodborn, and you'll gain extra lore on that Minnie Mouse Floodborn. It's so cool. So you're already using a bunch of actions with your Prince John anyway. So this was a deck that I was playing a lot on Pixelborn before they released all the cards into the meta, and I was doing pretty well on the little lab mode that Pixelborn had. But I do want to see what it'll do in a like popsicle meta. And I have the cards, so I want to play something a little more interesting for locals, because the locals that I've been going to is a bit more casual. And one of the things I've noticed too is that when you get a little too competitive in a setting that's not meant for that, it does deter some players from going back. And honestly, I don't want that. I literally want the opposite. Like I want to be able to play the game as much as possible. So
Yeah, no, I hear you. Aaron, I don't suppose you have an answer for this.
I mean, probably not as eloquent as all of the other folks who are on the call, but I think for me, I was so excited to see all the Madam Mim Merlin cards come out, and I still haven't even had an opportunity to play that in the starter deck. But I am really excited for like that whole package, and for the opportunity to get to like play around with that and make a little bit more of a competitive deck with those cards, because I was just super jazzed that they got released. That was a big day in our house when we learned Madam Mim was making her first appearance in Lorcana. So
It's true. It was very exciting. And I think we might be building the same deck. I got really into Amethyst Emerald, and just I don't know, maybe I'm too attached to that color pair. And I just want to see if I can update it a little bit for this go around, and make the bounce, package work in Amethyst. Did I say Amethyst?
Yeah, you did.
Okay, good. In Amethyst, I'm gonna try to make that. I'm gonna try to make that work. I have this thing, like I want to build competitive decks, but I don't like playing like the tier 1 or 2 decks. I always want to find like that deck that's just on that maybe you see once in a while in the top 8 that just like peaks in there, and it's like, this can, if piloted well, this deck can make it.
Yeah,
And
no, yeah. You want to play the sleeper, and then what I love about Lorcana right now is that we're in a format. The last 2 formats, I strongly feel that you can do that. I feel like if you practice enough and you are the better player, you can get great results with, like you said, your personalized sleeper deck. I know you did really well with Emerald Amethyst, and you want to keep doing well with Emerald Amethyst. So don't give up on that concept, bro. I actually have been testing an Emerald Amethyst list as well that utilizes bounce. I'm joining the discard engine in every color, by the way, to see what what the best discard engine color is. And I like it with Amethyst a lot. Discarding your opponent's hand and then drawing more cards because you play rabbits and Cuscos is pretty cool. But yeah, man, Lorcana is an awesome game where I think you can do that. I've been getting a couple deck lists from this week, and on the weekend of the release of Rise of the Floodborn, I saw some, I forgot his name, but they posted on Twitter that they went like 4-0 at their local tournament with their constructed deck, and it was Amber Steel, but it didn't play Whole New World, no Grab Your Swords, no Lanterns. It was playing the new Prince, Never Gives Up, and it was playing 4 of the support Milan, a bunch of aggro characters, Tianas, stuff like that. And you can tell like he just knew what he was doing. I had seen his Twitter before, and he had done very well at a bunch of other locals. And it just goes to show that, when you put in the effort and you practice, you can take decks like this and perform well at tournaments.
I love it.
So cool.
Golly. Hey, if you're watching now and you don't subscribe to Goons, you should subscribe to Goons, because it's a great channel. This is the kind of content you get. All right. So now I see his camera working. We're going to bring in Scott. If you all missed my Scott introduction, go back and watch it. I will sum it up as Scott is awesome.
Nice.
One of our biggest supporters. And we're super glad that you're here and your camera's working.
Hey, Scott.
Hey, it's finally working. Yes, technology is completely reliable these days, right?
Of course it is. Scott, let's just hot potato this question over to you before we move on to the next one. What are you playing or excited to play in Chapter 2?
I like the green or the emerald discard package. That was the first deck that I built for my wife, and she proceeded to beat me with it 3-1 because, of course, the 3 Flynn's kind of combined with the daisies and the hypnotize and Prince John, like it just, and then you toss Bell into that, who responds to discard. I think it's just a nice tight package. The other one that I'm more casually looking to do is just go hi-ho mode engaged and play full Snow White and the 7 Dwarfs and just spam the dwarfs. Just get them out there. For me, Exodia is Snow White plus all 7. If I do that, I win. Whether or not I actually win is irrelevant. I have won.
Yes.
At our game store, I was playing this guy during like the launch event, and he was talking to me about this card idea he had, and I feel like it was a total missed opportunity, which is basically a Snow White who is kind of like Belle, where she gets 1 lore for every dwarf you have in play.
Maybe that'll happen.
Wouldn't that be such a cool card?
Maybe
like, it's not like you would have to have all 7, but like for every dwarf you have in play, she can quest for that number of lore. I feel like that would be a super cool, like,
extra win condition. That would be super nice. Yep. It'd make the dwarf deck so much better.
And like such great flavor too.
So yes, speaking of our local game store, shout out to them. They're in the chat right now, Marco and everyone there. So thanks for watching. Yeah, no, that's fun. I do want to see dwarves work. I do want dwarves to be good. I do want dwarves to be good. Let's move on to the next question. I forget what questions are in here. This is, oh God, I love this question so much. I love this question so much. I don't know how to answer it though.
I know how some of the artists would answer this question.
That is true. So talking about artist flavor, one of the reasons the question resonated with me is because all of the artists, some of whom play the game and do know how it works, are really excited to make 60 card copies of
or 60 card decks of one
card.
Yeah.
Like Christian Romero wants all Sergeant Tibbs, an all Sergeant Tibbs deck.
Mm-hmm.
So send if you want to have fun next time you see Christian Romero, just dump your Sergeant Tibbs on him so we can build his deck.
Cam Kendall wants a deck with 1 Maleficent and all goons.
That's true, because Cam Kendall did the goon. So yeah, he wants a full goon deck with 1 Maleficent.
That's so funny. I love it. I love that.
Gosh, I don't know what I would choose here. I don't know. Maybe Pooh Honey Wizards, just because the art is so good. I don't know. What about you two? Any? What would you pick?
Hey, persistent presence immediately.
God, that would be awful.
That bird derp so fabulous. I mean, just gaze upon his majestic plumes.
Oh no. Yep. Okay, that's probably the best answer.
We were on a Lorcana cast episode last week, and we were supposed to pick our favorite card, and I was like, I'm gonna pick my least favorite card from set 2, and it's freaking Hey, because during the starter deck event at our LGS, I played against the Amethyst deck. I did not have the Amethyst deck, and that freaking bird, I swear to goodness,
that's appropriate. That freaking bird. That's actually his real subtitle.
That freaking bird. Freaking bird.
Best favorite text.
Yes. All right. I'm gonna see if the artist can alter that on the that freaking bird. He's back.
He just will not quit.
Yeah. Any other answers here? I don't even know.
I would probably go with Popsicle, just because it's the card of the format right now. And if you like just ink a Popsicle, play a Popsicle, draw a Popsicle. Oh yeah, 1 Nick Wild, that'd be good. 1 Nick Wild.
Popsicle and 1 Nick Wild.
I don't know what the win con is, but it's just flavor. It's so much flavor.
Another good option though in the future would be if they make more beast cards. I would love to play just a full deck of different beast cards. You know what I mean? For ranging from all the ink levels costs.
It's gonna happen very soon. I think we're gonna be able to create, decks just of franchises, or all one character, and it's gonna be super fun. We have to throw out the color description at first, but
we're not that far off from a deck of beasts.
That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah, we have so many.
That's fair. And they just keep coming. All right. So here's an interesting question. And future meta relevant cards. So one of the interesting things about this game, I think, or the reason I like this question is one of the interesting things about this game is, the creators designed the first 3 sets together. And they're currently working on, I think they're building the gameplay for like set 8. They're working on the art for around set 5. And so a lot of the art is done, not just for one set, but they're doing like 4, 5, 6, all that. But so the game designers are thinking way ahead. And so I think we're seeing some cards now which may not be great in the current meta, but we can see glimpses of this card being good, and one day we'll see it just be bonkers. So the person who asked this question at Gaybird Things on Twitter, highlighted Mulan and Mufasa as 2 cards which they think will be super relevant in the meta later on. I have my answer, but
can I guess your answer?
Okay, yes, you can guess my answer. What's my answer?
Gantu.
No, it's not. I thought about that. I honestly, as much as as a meme, like desperately want Gantu to be good, I just can't figure, unless there's like some crazy alien synergy, like put an alien in play for free. Like I just can't figure out how he's going to be good.
Okay, well,
I did see some card in Hearthstone that lowers the cost of the opposing characters on the field, and then it synergizes with some other card that basically says, destroy like a 2-cost character less. So imagine if they do make like a Stitch related card that says, oh, if you have Gantu, then all your opposing characters become 2 ink characters, and then Gantu is just amazing. I was thinking about that actually the other day because I was like, maybe Gantu might actually be good.
It doesn't make sense. These are legendary.
yeah, exactly. Like, why would they do it? They must know something we don't. But yeah, I totally feel that one. Totally feel. So
okay,
I think Gantu has potential.
Okay, good. Yeah, so Gantu is my first answer then. Before I flip the slide and show what my answer was, what about you two? Do you have any thoughts?
I actually have a couple thoughts on this one. I think Weight Set is a really good card in Rise of the Floodborn. It's just a little bit slow right now and might take a little bit more characters. But if we can get some like good Ruby Steel lists, I think combining Weight Set with like reckless characters like Gaston, Maui are just so powerful. Any card that draws cards in Lorcana, I think, is really good. So Rapunzel, the 6 ink, 5 ink Rapunzel, I believe. Yeah, the 5 ink Rapunzel, the shift character. That I think that card is super good and will probably get a little better if we get the third set. But those are two cards I think might get like I think a lot more support with the next set. It just seems like if we get a couple more things and it has a lot of potential. And then the Mulan, the Amber one, the shift that has the ability to reveal a top card from your deck, and if it's a song, you play it for free. That card, we just need a 1 ink Mulan. If we get a 1 ink Mulan, then that card's just so good.
Yeah, agreed. What about you, Scott? Any thoughts?
So I think Mickey Mouse Wayward Sorcerer in time will be clutch. I think they're going to keep giving us more brooms slowly but surely. And so he'll be the engine that makes that go. And I do suspect that we're going to see some play around the time when the Snow White movie releases. My guess is that Ravensburger and Disney will collab to have more / better dwarves released around that time. And so it'll kind of be like Dwarf Deck 2.0, at which point your Snow White Unexpected House Guest, where you pay 1 ink less to play your 7 Dwarfs characters, I think she becomes the engine that makes that go.
Yeah, that'd be fascinating. You said something that I was like super excited to respond to, and then I forgot what it. Oh, brooms! I hope we see a set. I hope that's a thing that they keep.
I do too.
Just one each time, just forever.
Absolutely, sure.
And every set, everybody for their broom deck gets really excited to see what the next broom is, and some of them are terrible, and some of them are great. But I think that'd be super fun. It does occur to me, we're talking about augmenting the dwarves and like Snow White making dwarves cheaper and stuff. I do think, that as we see these Floodborn characters and as we're seeing some of these cards, like it's going to be super hard not to like break them down the road. Because as soon as you give us, versions of characters that are a little bit cheaper, you instantly make Floodborn cards better. So I do wonder if in these first few sets, again, because I know they think long term, if we're seeing like a lot of the staples, like, we've seen like Wheel of Fortune and Magic, or like the lightning bolts or the counter spells, these things that are just going to be around forever. They're going to be staples of decks. And then we're just going to see, I don't know, some maybe more power down stuff later. I don't know.
Well, even Hypnotize, I think, could be a staple when you've got a cantrip that forces your opponent to pitch a card. You're already +1 on card advantage there. And when you've got, I'm pretty sure that's a 3-drop, which makes it a potential turn 2 play if you drop Cinderella 1, Hypnotize 2. I think that could be a staple for a while.
Yeah, I agree. So I'll move on to my actual answer. I gotta highlight Hades. I've been saying this for a while. This guy one day is going to be like the bomb in a villain deck.
Yep.
And we're just waiting for it. I think this is one of those ones, we see where I talked about the breadcrumbs that we see early on. Like they brought him out knowing that he's going to be like the finisher for some villain deck. And we just haven't seen the villains yet that we need.
I can't wait for deity synergy just because I'm fascinated by what that could be.
Like a deity.
Right.
Deck.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Just all gods. Like and
Holy deck.
And Zeus and oof. Yeah. Next question. Steven asked us a lot of questions, and I picked a few. This one I found super interesting. I'm interested in everybody's thoughts because I have an answer, but I think the thought behind putting the pack in starter decks is a fantastic one. I think we all agree. You give players the first taste of opening a booster pack. They understand what the game is about. You give them the first taste for free. Right? But also, I mean, from a price point, getting new players in the game, giving them a starter deck for like $17.99 MSRP, where they get a precon and then they get a booster pack where they could get some pretty valuable cards, I think is a great move. I think, though, what Steven's getting at here is the unintended consequence that we've seen, which is basically all of the starter decks are purchased, off the shelf
the booster pack.
for the booster pack. And then what you have is just a ton of precons sitting on the market being sold for like $10 or $15 as people try to recoup the costs, because all they wanted was that booster pack. I don't know. My answer, and I'll pitch it over to you on a second. My answer is I don't think they should remove it. I think it's a good model. I think what'll happen is as more product becomes available in later sets, the expected value of packs will drop enough that you won't see people doing this as often, and product will be available. But I just think it's a really, really good model to have cheap starter decks with the booster pack and the precons in there. What do you all think?
I agree. I think also, I mean, not only giving people an opportunity to like have the experience of breaking open a booster pack for the first time, but also, making custom decks is such an intimidating thing for a new player. And learning that skill, it's a huge barrier to entry, I think, for people who are wanting to get into TCGs. And so I think giving people that booster pack in their starter deck is going to allow them to have that little bit of a taste of like, okay, how can I alter this deck with these cards that I have to make it a little bit better, to make it a little bit more powerful. And so I think that also is another experience that they're giving new players and getting them, breaking down that barrier to entry.
It's a great point.
Oh yeah, I personally don't think they should make any changes. Just like you said, it really is just about the product scarcity and availability. Once the product is more available, we'll see less people selling the booster packs selling the starter decks without the booster pack. And even then, I feel like there is some merit to buying the starters without the boosters, because we've seen that we need like 4 Hiram Flavor Sham. Sometimes you need 4 Queens, and maybe you don't want to buy 4 of the starter decks with the pack because you just don't want to spend that much money, or maybe you just don't want to order them on TCG Player. I do want to say that I don't think anybody, and I say this on the Market Watch all the time, you should not be paying like more than $10 for the booster pack the starter deck without the booster pack. A lot of people just try and hike that up so much too, and that's such a shame to see, because it really is like a $10 value, even though this is the best starter deck we've had so far, and you get a Flavor Sham that's worth like $7. You still should not be valuing it more than $10. So it is kind of lame that is what we see right now, but it'll fix once we get more product. And I do believe that having the pack in the starter deck makes for a very interesting sealed format, which I like in general. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, nope, totally agree. Scott, what do you think?
No, that Kevin just hit on it right at the end. Is for I agree that we should keep the pack in it, and primarily for sealed play variety. I agree with everything that folks have said already, but when we went into Gen Con, right, and there was a bunch of people practicing for the sealed deck tournaments, and just playing those deck lists over and over and over, and I understand why, and that was fine. But what you could never completely count on is what cards were folks going to get in that pack. Yep. Sorry to bring that up, but but when you're talking about lower stakes competition, and usually that's what these things are when you're having sealed deck tournaments, is lower stakes competition. That is the spice of life, so to speak. That's where the variety comes in. And you also have the moments, and this happened to my wife at the sealed deck event for Rise. It was the release event. She pulled an Enchanted out of it.
Nice.
And so you just get that random jolt of excitement for it, not just for her, but the entire room was like, "Oh, hey!" They're cheering that. So no, I think it's a smart move to include it. It's generating not just the variety, but like you said, it gives them a little taste of, well, this is how I might be able to put this card in my deck or that card in my deck. It just kind of nudges them a little bit in the deck altering direction, and then that'll eventually be deck building, hopefully.
Yep. No, totally agree. We also had an Enchanted pulled. Like one of our local subscribers, one of our favorite people, Joshua Marsh and his son Wesley, pulled an Enchanted Snow White
Nice.
out of his starter deck pack, which was
Nice.
super cool. He did not play with it. He did not. I do think before I move on to the next question, my last thought is, if you are one of those people who end up with a bunch of starter decks, and pre-cons just sitting around, and I fully understand, trying to recoup your investment and reinvest in cards and all that. But if you ever see some sitting around that are available, or one of your friends has them, and consider giving them to your LGS, or to give to new players, or find a way to get them to people who can't find the product, because there are still people who, based on where they're located, or because they have no idea how to navigate LGSs or online marketplaces, who can't find product at a good price to play with their families. So something to think about.
That's true.
And yes, Aaron, I do want to tease next week, eventually.
Okay.
So another interesting question, biggest surprise. This was so broad, I had no idea how I was going to answer it, and I still don't. So I'm gonna surprise our guests for this question.
I'll go first with this one. I
Yeah.
would say my biggest surprise with Lorcana has been learning, well, two things actually. I'll start off with learning the rules of the game, because this is the first game where you don't like deplete your opponent's life points. You race to the first 20 lore, and I think that is a very interesting win condition. I think it sets up a lot of like crazy interactions and like stuff that other TCGs simply like can't do. Like I really love the Merlin Goat. I just love that card, the way it works in Lorcana right now. When my opponent's at like 12 lore and they start dropping a goat on me, I start to freak out, because I know that can equal 6 lore. And it's one of those things where, you don't really see in other games, because in this game, another thing in this game too is that you have to be very patient. Some of the other games you can set up really wide boards, and then you can attack directly with multiple characters and you deal like 20 damage in one turn, whereas Lorcana, there's only like one or two decks that have ever been able to gain that much lore in one turn so far, and even then they're not really super consistent. Most of the game is about patience and is about making sure you can outvalue the opponent. So I was pretty surprised that this win condition offered like so much nuance to the game, which is what I really like. And then honestly, the next thing is the community. Like I said, I've come from TCGs before, and sometimes the community can be a little cold. You know what I mean? And I've just been really appreciating the refreshingness of the Lorcana community. I made a tweet the other day about how I didn't want to go to locals, and sometimes I can be a bit of an introvert. As much as I do like making videos, I kind of don't want to leave the house sometimes. And when I went to locals yesterday, I just had like a really pleasant experience, and it's one of those things where it reminds me like why I love card games so much. I've been doing this since I was a kid, and I don't want to stop doing it now. So it's refreshing to have a community like this. So that's a really big surprise to me.
Totally agree. Do you have an answer?
So many. I
Oh.
mean, like, but from a cheeky thing, best surprise is that I only had to wait till set 2 to see Madam Mim.
Oh, there we go.
From a non cheeky answer, I think I'm just not surprised, but surprised at the same time. Sorry, been a long day with our daughter. But just the consistency of just how like beautiful this game is, and that how much Ravensburger invested in making this an immersive experience for new players, like as the game, like the flavor text, the art, they've really, I think, done a great job of making it approachable for those Disney collectors that are out there and are going to come to Lorcana one day, as product becomes more available. That they really thought hard about the flavor and the art to make it approachable and beautiful and something that people just want to be a part of. So
Actually, before I had an answer about like balanced meta, and I'm not gonna do that because I'm gonna play off yours because I find it more interesting. The art, like the more that we learn about the process that goes into making each one of these cards, the time involved, the cost, it amazes me that the company, and Disney went this route. Some of these cards, we learned from an artist this week, one of his cards took 7 months from the start of the process through the final approval, because there's so many gates they have to jump through, both with Ravensburger and with Disney, that it's a significant effort to bring every single one of these cards to life. And they didn't have to go that hard. They could have brushed off screenshots. They could have brushed off, slight tweaks of existing, characters, and it would have been cheaper. It would have been easier. It would have been faster, but they didn't. And it amazes me that the company has invested this much time and money into this, in the art of the game. Scott, how about you?
what took me by surprise, there's two things actually, both revolving Amethyst. One I should have seen coming, but it's the Arthur Merlin Goat combination. Just drop the Arthur turn 3, curve out on turn 4 with a goat. You're questing. It's just this ridiculous loop that you get, especially if you get a Madam Mim in there to start juggling stuff. But the one that I didn't see really at all um, was Madam Mim juggling herself. Um, Using a Mim to challenge, she takes damage. Then the next turn, dropping another Mim to bring the damage one back. And especially if it's the one with the rush, now you can just keep basically recurring recycling damage dealers for challenges to get rid of brick walls. And that was surprisingly effective. It's one of those decks where yes, you need the combo pieces, but there's so many different pieces, you're probably going to find at least one of them. So
That's
yeah,
fair.
that one took me by surprise.
And I'm gonna make Amethyst Emerald work. Yes. I love it. We have time for a couple more questions. And first, Stephen, thanks for all the questions. But next one for another one of our favorite creators, Rebecca and Lorcana Luminary. I mean, I know everybody here is following her already, but on the off chance you wandered into the stream and are new to Lorcana, Rebecca makes some amazing content, especially on Instagram, some shorts and stuff. So go check her out. But this is a big question. For those following Lorcana news, we've seen Ravensburger announce recently that they're going to do competitive and fan events, I think this coming year, which is a change, I think, from what we were initially, being told. So I don't know. Aaron, what do you want to see from fan events / competitive events?
For fan events, I'm excited. I'm hoping that there will still be some level of like casual play at those events
Yes.
to get people who are excited about collecting the game to understand the intricacies of the ins and outs of the game. So maybe that's like a starter deck, like casual play thing or something like that. And then also just getting to meet a different type of Lorcana fan. I think that right now, because most events around Lorcana are so centered around playing and around competition, we are seeing a lot of the Lorcana fans right now are people who are, interested in play or interested in competitive play, but getting to meet people who are interested in Lorcana for just like a collecting perspective or something like that, I think will be a fun and unique voice that's going to be added to the community through these events.
Yeah, I know. It's a great answer. I know both of you have like huge thoughts on this. I'm just gonna turn over and see who wants to jump in.
So commercially, I'm hoping for playmats. I want to see more art on more playmats.
Yeah.
So I would love to see that, but both within in world and out. So I want to see 20 to 30, like as many artists as possible, and get the Lorcana art and their own proprietary art as well. I want to see a rainbow of colors of people. I want to see men, women, and a bunch of different genders. I want to see people not worrying about a competitive scene or having to behave in a particular way that like what do I do at a TCG event? No. Let's just come and enjoy the game. Let's enjoy each other. Let's enjoy the family that we have found throughout this past year and a half process, and make some more, right? And see that it's okay and even encouraged to engage with this game in a way that is not just about, I want to intellectually punch you in the nose. And there's nothing wrong with wanting to be competitive or wanting to play a game to win. That's not what I'm saying at all. I'm saying there's multiple ways to engage with this game, and I want to see as many of those celebrated as possible. I would love to see something like a sealed event where it's like, okay, here's your 5 packs, build 40 decks, but I want it to be like a commander style, 4-player pods. And it's just multiplayer straight away. And it's random. It's not super competitive, but you're still playing to win, so to speak. And that's a good fixed way to get some product, see some card interactions you might not normally see, and maybe meet some new people along the way. Those are the types of things that I would like to see.
Nice.
That's awesome. That's amazing. Well said.
No, yeah, I love it. I like that that you mentioned the maths and like kind of the competitive aspect of it. I think it's really important. I think it's very important to keep the game alive. Lorcana has a very unique opportunity that other, not even just TCGs, other games don't really have. You know what I mean? This
Yep.
is like a game that can reach the family as well as can
Yes.
reach that the esports lover. And I don't know about you guys, but I'm not like the biggest sports fan. I mean, like I have like my sports teams, but I don't like religiously watch a lot of sports the way like other people do. And to me, card games, even just general gaming, has always been like my athletic fix, my competitiveness. You know, I'm not in high school no more, so I don't play no more sports or anything like that. So I love playing tournaments. I love seeing tournament reports, and I'm super excited for the future of Lorcana organized play. So what I would like to see personally is a way for as a way to keep that thriving, which would be like mats for prizing, prize cards, incentives for players to do well at those events. But since we're bringing up the fan events, I do really want to mention that we have the opportunity in this game to do fan events.
Yep.
I see a lot of Lorcana meetups going on at Disneyland, at the Disney World in
Yes.
Florida, in
Mhm.
Paris. Like I see it all over Facebook, people sharing their events. Like, hey guys, I'm doing a trade day, and it's really cool. It's very unique, and I would love for Ravensburger to be able to overlap those and combine those, you know, so that players, like you said, Aaron, can experience more than just the competitive aspect of it, or like Sean, so you don't have to go into this TCG space and feel like you're lacking in like knowledge or experience. Like it should be widely available to people. Hopefully, they do multiplayer events. I would love to see like a multiplayer league tournament or something. I think multiplayer is hilarious. It's just like, you know, I would love to see them adapt on that, and even some extra stuff like exclusive goodies that you can get only at like the official Lorcana events. You know, whether it be pins, whether it be like swag or something. I've been to a couple other TCG events for other games, and I like the world level scale. Not that I was playing in it, but it was just we had like a world event for Yu-Gi-Oh back in like 2013, but it was in Las Vegas, and it was just so cool to meet people from around the world playing one card game. And if any card game can do that on a regular basis, it's going to be Lorcana. So I'm very excited. Hopefully they have stuff that lets us integrate like other play people from other places as well, you know, because I know people are going to be coming if we ever have tournaments like near Disneyland, near Disney World, you know, I know people are going to be flying from around the world. They're going to bring their German Lorcana cards, you know, their Spanish ones, and we're all going to be able to really really connect with people from around the world over this game. So that's what I'm looking forward to. I do believe strongly that in order for the game to be successful, there has to be a reason for people to play, not only competitively but casually as well. So again, golden opportunity right here for Ravensburger to be able to adhere to so many people by making this, you know, by making this both competitive and casual.
Yep.
I couldn't say it can't say it any better. I'm just gonna leave it right there. You know, we are at time. I want to shout out a couple of people, and I want to tease next week's show because it could be really cool.
It could be really cool. It's going to be really
It's
cool.
going to be really cool.
Be more positive, Liam.
Yeah, so I want to do that, and then we'll say goodbye to our guests and allow you to shout yourselves out. But first, hey, thanks for everybody for showing up. Steven, thank you in the chat for all the amazing questions. And then Franco, I see your question coming in at the last minute. We just don't have time for it, but it's a great one. Maybe we'll get to it next week. So thank you for the question. I'll just throw it up here so people can read it and muse in their heads about what we would have answered. I do want to tease next week's show. Okay, so next week, what we're gonna do. We've invited all of the artists who are at Miami TCG Con, 12 of them, onto the stream for a Miami TCG reunion.
Wow.
And so we're going to have some of them, a lot of them won't be able to make it. Well, I shouldn't say a lot of them. A few of them won't be able to make it because of European time differences, but
and they're really funny when they get together.
Yes,
they're hilarious all together.
Really hilarious. But hey, so for the two of you, I want to pitch it over to you. Tell people, you know, how they can follow you, and then if you have any closing thoughts before we say goodbye, I'll go over to Scott first since you came in late. We'll get you first on the way out the door.
Yeah. So there's not. I'm just a guy on the internet at this point. I'm not really making a show anymore.
Tweets and thoughts, and your stream is great.
So if you want to follow me on Twitter, now X, I guess, I am at the Blogadin. BLOGADIN at the Blogadin. Used to be the host of the Blogadin webcast. No more. That is long gone. But yeah, if that's really the primary place to interact with me. Other than that, I would actually direct you back at Kevin for his channel and back at Liam and Aaron for their channel. But I don't need to because you're already following them because you're here. So
Thank you.
Appreciate
I
that.
appreciate that. If you guys want to follow me and you identify as a Lorcana goon, you can check us out on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. We try to do it all. YouTube as well. We do market watch videos. We do meta stuff, and I'm trying to get more into recording some gameplay stuff. If I can get my computer to stop lagging when I record gameplay, but we're really trying to do it all. We do want to be a one-stop shop for like Lorcana meta stuff and even just casual news. So I would appreciate if you guys check out the content. We do try hard.
Yeah, you do, and the quality is consistently improving. It's great, and we love what you're doing, and we're honored that you chose to be here. So,
Thank you, man.
Thanks so much. I assume you're following us over here, but you can subscribe to us at on YouTube. Just hit that subscribe button, or we also stream this on Twitch. So if that's your thing, you can go there too. We're not as savvy on Twitch, so we just have a banner and
a couple buttons.
But hey, thanks everybody for watching and on our road show this week. Thank you all for joining us. And I guess all we have to say is sign off catchphrase.